Hello and welcome to this podcast from the Light Review. If you've been following this series, you'll know that we are now three issues into our conversations with Xicato. First time out, we talked to Julie O'Reilly, Creative Director at Sutton Vane Associates, to get the designer's perspective. And then last time out, we spoke to my good friend Ali Kay, who's one of the directors at Stone Lighting, which is the foremost UK-based manufacturer in Scotland. Actually, we have to be careful what we say these days, in the UK and in Scotland for the time being. And today we're going to the heart of it. We're going to be talking to Xicato itself, themselves, and I'm welcoming Nick Gibbs, who's the now Nick, sales director for UK and the Nordic area. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, John.
Which is a big wide patch, but nobody lives there, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. And Tom Howe, who's VP sales for, it says, the Americas. Is that all the Americas, Tom?
That is correct. North and South America. So yeah, so it's again, it's like Nick, big territory.
Yeah, and several languages and a few time zones. So that's quite something. How much do you actually have to need to get out around the place? I mean, when was the last time you were on Tierra del Fuego?
So right now we haven't really been traveling, obviously due to COVID. So it's a lot of phone calls, you know, early in the morning, but that's okay. And then you kind of wrap up later in the afternoon. But reaching out and touching the folks, regardless of time zone. Hopefully we'll be traveling here in the summer soon.
Well, that would be good. And thanks for getting up early this morning to be able to talk to us from California. Nick's Lancaster.
Yeah, based in Lancaster in Lancashire. So traveling in the UK, as you know, John, is acceptable currently. And but yeah, outside of the UK is still a bit of a no-no.
Yeah, well, I'll see you somewhere up the M6. How about that?
Sounds good.
Okay. Now, the name Xicato is synonymous with good stuff. We know these guys do good lighting and have done good lighting for many years. And one of the reasons for this emphasis, if you like, on where Xicato is there's lots of interesting and exciting things happening within the business. And Tom particularly is going to give us an overview of what that means. But I did ask Nick if he would give us a bit of history, because I do feel that when someone's been around for long enough, we sometimes forget where the thing started. How about that?
You still have one, John.
I have, yeah. It's an old XSM. I don't think it quite passes muster these days, does it?
It's still in installation. It's still going strong.
Oh, hey,
10 years later. So
there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. The only scary thing you get is when you realise how much better the stuff that you're doing today is. So anyway, I ferreted that out from my little store under the stairs. Nick, it's with you. Just give us a reminder of how Xicato kicked off and what the aims and ambitions were and what's brought us up to here.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Thank you. So a lot of you know that are watching this, but there are a lot of people that don't know as well. So Xicato was founded in 2007 in San Jose in California. And from there, we produced the initial module, which was the XSM, which you've just shown to people, John. And that was a module that we produced out to be kind of a true halogen replacement in an LED format back in the day. The product itself, we were trying to set the industry's standard and benchmark, so to speak, for today, for the initial color and obviously the lumen maintenance. But more so on the color, John. And if you know anything about LEDs, which I know you do, you do get color shift over time with product. And one thing that Xicato wanted to actually introduce and make was a product that we could warrant the color, so no color shift over its warranty period. So that was the first module that we brought out. It was aimed at galleries and museums. And of course, Xicato have gone from strength to strength since then. And now we do all projects from retail, offices, schools, hospitals, commercial properties. So a lot more than just the galleries and museums that we used to be known for.
You've actually been probably one of the major people who have forced the hand of people like me as the specifier and the designer, that if you've got something as good as this, you're not just going to keep it for the museums and for the galleries. You're going to put it, first of all, it's going to end up in the high-end retail and hospitality, and it's not going to be very long before it starts to drift broadly across the whole of the sector, which of course is exactly what's happening, what we've seen. Explain to us I'm not sure that I can say unique, but I'm going to say it anyway. The way that you got the light out of the module was more or less unique to the way you have done it. Can you explain why it's different to so many of the other products that we see?
Yeah, so the majority of LED products you see today on the market are chip on board. And what that means is you have a substrate, you have LED dye that are placed on the substrate, and then you have a phosphor that's laid directly over the LED chips. Now, what Xicato did, we came up with something which is obviously patented, which is a corrected coal phosphor technology. And what we do there is we actually have the substrate with the LED, but then we have a mixing chamber and a remote phosphor device. And obviously we cool the phosphor to get it down to the same TC measurement temperature as the actual base of the product. And what we do there is we actually, by cooling the phosphor, just to let you know that phosphor degrades after 90 degrees. So when you look at a typical chip on board today, if you were to put a thermal imaging camera on the front of a COB product, you're probably going to get about 125 degrees on the phosphor with all the photons bouncing around within the phosphor. So what Xicato did with the remote phosphor and the chamber is we, like I said, corrected the phosphor cooling so that we adjusted it down to the TC temperature, which is generally about 70 degrees these days on a fixture when they design in. And what that did then, we made certain that the phosphor wasn't degrading from the day one when you switch it on. And that's how we were able to give the warranty for the color consistency.
Sure. Yeah. And talking to Ali last time out, he one of the things that he was talking about was within that fantastic technical performance was a big shift, I think, for you guys to move from what was essentially a medium beam kind of performance. That particular module came out of a downlight, so a very general light. But you've actually got yourself now fairly, a decent sort of spotlight beam, haven't you, with the smaller module?
Yeah, for sure. So the light emitting surfaces that we do on the remote phosphor product is the smallest is 9mm, and then the other is 19mm LES. So with the 9mm and a good optic, which you see on the market today, we can get down to like a 10-degree beam from the actual device. If you look now onto the other products that we do, so we do a COB. We're actually doing a 4mm LES now, so we're talking sub 10-degree beams.
Right. Wow. That's impressive. Tom, we've so far we've been talking about, if you like, known territory. We've been talking about the modules, and what we now know is that Xicato is much more than that. We've got your linear range, which is obviously going to break new ground for you. And we're also looking now at a controls strategy as well. So it's your turn. We've put Nick through the ringer. So tell us all about it, Tom.
And Nick did a great job, as he always does. So about 2 years ago, Xicato launched on this Xicato 2.0 idea. And the whole point behind Xicato 2.0 was a couple-fold. One was Xicato inside, which is everything that Nick kind of talked about. So you have Xicato inside their fixtures, and that's really our OEM strategy, and a very big part of our business, and will continue to do so. The other part of Xicato 2.0 was, how do we take advantage of all this technology, the patents, the engineering, and get out of kind of the OEM side of the business, not get out of it, but to expand on it. And that idea was, let's launch some products that complement those, and let's use a sales agency strategy to market those products. And by that, I mean, we had the controls, we were developing the Bluetooth controls, and we were relying on OEMs to kind of use the controls through the museums in that arena. But they weren't really selling our controls. They were selling their lights that just happened to have controls on it. And with the Bluetooth controls, and we knew it was a great system, we wanted to go out and market that even further. And in order to do so, we also wanted to add a product to that, which was our XFL. And the XFL really took advantage of all of that we know about light engines, and we just created an outstanding linear product. We didn't do a Me Too. We started from scratch, used different chipset, different engineering, different construction, and that's how we came up with the XFL and really created a great product. And then, like I stated a little bit earlier, was how do we get it into the marketplace? Well, we started out looking for sales agencies to help us market those products. We have, I think now, 30-ish worldwide, and still building. And so that's really kind of Xicato 2.0, and that's where we are today. As we continue to evolve Xicato 2.0, the idea of Xicato inside remains strong, as well as other channels that we will continue to explore.
Right. Okay. I tell you what, where that puts me as a specifier and as a designer, in a bit of a state of confusion, which I know you can clear up for me, because I'm used to specifying luminaires, and I'm used to specifying control systems, control platforms. What I'm not used to doing is basically specifying a light source with a control system, because I don't know what light fitting is going into. So, Nick, I think one for you, if you don't mind. How do we? I mean, obviously, we know that there are people like Stone Lighting who major on Xicato within their products. But if I go, this is a project which is right down Xicato Street. Of course it is, and the control system seems to be the natural way to go. But I then need to put it into the housings. I need to put it into the hardware. So do I come to you and then you tell me where I need to go, or do I take that conversation out to a linear LED manufacturer and say, I want you to put Xicato in those channels?
Yeah, so there's kind of a few ways that I see it happening at the moment. One of the ways is, Xicato was always about education into the specifier community. So that continues with Xicato through the controls and specifying controls on projects. But we've also got to look at the contractor companies, the building companies out there of the world that are obviously using traditional Dali controls now, and they tend to get involved in the installation of those products. So currently, I would say it's more so the contractors and the building companies that we're getting involved with, and the big companies like the NG Baileys and the Arabs of the world that are specifying our products on the big commercial properties and buildings in London and throughout the region and territories. So I think there's a different approach, and I know we've been very active in those approaches to reach out to the people. So yeah, it's totally different, but we still need education, John, into the community. But we just have to go down a different channel to get that information over to them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I get that one. It is changing my role, because if you say traditionally, if I go to a manufacturer for a linear system, and let's face it, linear lighting is now almost the default for what the LED light form is. What is it? It's a long strip of light, and how we actually achieve that, and like everybody's doing it. But if I'm trusting the luminaire manufacturer to then deliver a decent source inside that, I'm kind of lazy enough to go, that'll do. I don't need to get inside that. I don't need to ask the question. But I'm starting to realize now that I do need to ask the question, because I think what I'm actually saying is, I like that channel. I like the way that channel can integrate it. And I know you're doing channels as well. You've got a package of channels there. Sure. But if I'm looking at a channel because I know it's going to work in a particular architectural detail, it feels that it is then beholden upon me to say, and I want the Xicato quality in this. So can you please go out and do a deal with Nick to make sure that we can actually put these two things together? And that's different. That is a different mindset, I think, than the specification community is used to.
I would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. John, we're dealing with that now, especially in North America, with our sales agencies loving the Xicato side of the business, but maybe there isn't a Xicato OEM on their line card for a particular product that a specifier is requesting. They say it's a linear product or it's a downlight. What we're seeing now is that our agencies are going out and saying, why don't you call Xicato, have them sell you the downlight into your fixture, then I can do a whole Xicato installation for you, for the building owner. So we're getting some pull through the channel as well. Now that they know we have the linear product, obviously they know they have the lights and then the controls. There is a certain positive to having a building that has all of Xicato throughout the entire building, not just light sources, but controls as well. There's a certain sense of relief or ease of mind for the customer, knowing that they're getting such a well-designed product. And Nick can touch on this, though, is that the Xicato color point is matched throughout the entire building. As we all know, one manufacturer's 37 is not another manufacturer's 37K, right? So having that is another big benefit, where you're not seeing a variation in color when it's all supposed to be one color.
Yeah, just to add as well to that, Tom, from the specifier perspective, John, and this obviously. They were speccing in Xicato for the color quality and the warranty and everything like that in the past. But we're always being asked for linear, and that was basically touching on what Tom said. They can never match the color between what the downlights were with the the cove lighting or the linear solutions that they were using in that time. So they were getting a couple of years ago 5-year warranty on the remote phosphor technology. Now that's a 10-year warranty that we give, not only on lumen maintenance but also on color. So we guarantee that the product doesn't shift in color over 10 years. And we've coupled that really with the warranty on the XFL that Tom's working on, so that we provide the 10-year warranty as well on the linear that they put in the installation. So yeah, it's more appealing and one-stop shop. And also we can provide the drivers as well on the installations now.
Yeah, and I think as well that we've been trying to shift the conversation on things like cost and reliability for years, trying to say it's not about buying the cheapest as a capex. It's about buying the one that actually lasts the longest and costs you the least in its running. And the fact that you're then your 10-year warranty is pushing that in that direction. And also I must say that in terms of the history of LEDs, of matching a disparate LED to a disparate control system and hoping and praying that they're going to talk to one another,
Mm.
I do say to luminaire manufacturers, oh, by the way, on this little project that we're doing, I want you to provide the controls as well, because then I'm coming after you if it doesn't work.
Sure.
You know, and to me, again, the fact that you can say we wrap it all up, the quality is consistent, the color is going to stay there, and it's all coming through our system, because we don't need to go and blame someone else. We don't need to look to someone else, because it's all there for us. It's very exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other beauty about our control system too is that it does integrate with various DMX. It does integrate with building management systems, and it does take on not just the luminaire portion of it, but fan motors, shades, on-off type things that we can connect to the Bluetooth system. So you can have a complete integration. If you have a large building management system, you can still utilize the Xicato controls because of our open API and the fact that we play well. And you know, like we say here in in North America, we play in the same. You know, we allow people to play in our sandbox and vice versa, right? So, and I think that is an appealing part to a lot of people that are now upgrading lights because they have an old business management system and they don't want to get rid of it, or they're doing type of stage, installations. The Bluetooth allows for that very well. So yeah, so there's a lot to the system and it doesn't have to just be Xicato, right? And it speaks well with almost every manufacturer out there.
Yeah. Nick, we again, coming back to the conversation we had with Ali. Stone lighting, of course, are very big on things like circular economy, and making sure that when a component is exhausted, all you need to do is change the component. You're not chucking the fitting away, and that means that there is a new marketplace opening up for taking a luminaire that might be 5, 10. Good heavens, at some point 20 years old, and being able to sort of take and say, well, there's the Xicato module that will fit into that, regardless of whose it was. And is that something that you guys have been conscious of in the development? I mean, do you have people like Ali knocking on your door and saying, we need to be able to be flexible in the way that we're using the product now?
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, we've been very sort of upfront with the OEMs, and it goes both ways from day one. We'll bring a new product out. We'll actually ask our OEMs that we work with currently to test it, give us their feedback on the product, but also they bring questions to us asking, can you do this, for this reason or that reason. I think all the circular economy thing that is going around today has been our ethos really from day one, looking back with the warranties and the color warranties and everything like that. Even today with our XOB, which is our COB, we have a 5-year warranty, but we also produce, and I think the only company in the globe to produce a COB package that has a color warranty, which is 2 years. So yeah, we're trying to look on the long term for circular economy and build back better and all of those things that are happening today in the market. And we're really focused on that and pushing forward. Yeah.
It is great to hear that not only are we talking about sort of very good L figures and B figures, but we're also talking about good consistency. We don't always talk about the consistency of it all, so long as it keeps working.
Exactly, and I think from day one with the education point I touched upon earlier, you mentioned the B figure, so the failure figure or the B figure. We have always said B0 on all of the Xicato products, and we do today, even some of the driver products that we produce. And the B0 is 0% of those luminaires or those fixtures that go into an installation will actually drop below 70% lumen maintenance after that warranty period. Now, if you look at the XTM products, that's 10 years that the light output is going to be above 70%, which is phenomenal. and that runs across the whole portfolio of products that we do as well.
Excellent. Well, hey, I think we've just about reached the time that we set for this. So I'm going to thank you, the two of you, for opening a few more eyes, probably, to those people who thought they knew you and now realize that they've got to work a little bit harder to know all about you, which is a great thing. And I'll include myself in that. Here's a man with work to do. Tom, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Nick, I hope it's as sunny up there as it is down here. So have a lovely evening.
Thanks, John.
And we'll speak again soon, I'm sure. And to everyone who's been watching this, thank you very much for your time. If you want to get in touch with us, you know all the addresses. So thanks very much, and goodbye for now.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Take care.
A pleasure.